Hello everyone, welcome back to yet another political episode. So it's here, Election Day 2024, the 60th presidential election in American history. Or is it the 50th or the 60th? I think it's the 60th. Yes, the 60th quadrennial presidential election between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. And what's at stake? Everything is at stake. Today, I will be giving you my last words of edgewise before we close our commentary. And then again, are we really going to close and stop talking about it? No. But I'm just going to say, hey, we're officially going into 24 hours until this election. Or 48 hours. Which way you see it doesn't really matter. I say 24 hours till we actually go to the polls. But really, election day is right now, really. Everyone's been voting early. 60 million votes, probably 80 million now. It's just election day is that last day. And really, the most important hour is 6 o'clock to 12 p.m. On November, on Tuesday night, where, we actually get to understand the real results on which way this race is actually going to go. So everything is at stake, and as you know, we are strongly behind President Donald J. Trump because we believe our country is falling apart. Wake up, look. If you don't think our country is falling apart, you most likely are a Democrat NPC or you're living under a rock. Open your eyes. We are going to war with the world. North Korea has their troops in Russia right now. Why are there troops in Russia right now? Here's the thing. I don't think, never before, first have the North Korean army left their country to train in another country. I don't think that's ever happened before. North Korea is using its military in an enemy grounds. Russia and North Korea are colliding. Would they be doing this under Trump? Heck no. Everyone likes to boo-hoo, whine, and cry about Donald Trump and his relationship with Vladimir Putin. No, it's not a relationship. He is doing what a strong leader needs to do. He's doing what Barack Obama did. You want to go back to Barack Obama and Vladimir Putin? Heck, we got footage of Barack Obama and Vladimir Putin laughing with each other, sharing a joke. The Democrats aren't whining and crying about that. But if Trump is even just sitting by Putin, they whine and cry, and they call him a Russian sympathizer. This is because of the 2016 misinformation and propaganda that Russia rigged the election, that Trump managed to collide with the Russian Federation in attempts to give Trump the presidency. We know it's obviously that case, right? I proved my point. Now, it is officially time, and really, this was a serious election to begin with. This was the serious election because we knew our country was falling apart when Biden was. But if Biden was reelected, which I really, really, really doubt he wouldn't have, then if he was reelected, it was just continue this for another 4 years, which I think our country would not handle this so well. Now, going to, of course, in this case, Biden dropping out and Joe Biden and Kamala Harris jumping in the race. What happens? What ends up happening? Well, Joe Biden we can trust. Well, Joe Biden was a declining president. Either way, if Biden won re-election, we would be concerned because this guy would definitely die in office. Joe Biden is dying right now. There is no way, guys, I'm guarantee you, he most likely will pass away, and unfortunately, I don't want to make light of it, but yeah, this guy's dying. He's going to die in 2025 or 2026. He's not going to make it to 2028. Period. Kind of crazy to think about. Well, I'm sure we all have loved ones who we have experienced that were declining, right? I'm sure we all have loved ones we've witnessed decline over the last couple days, last couple years. You know it. You see it. And you can't just say to yourself that Joe Biden's going to live through this, live to see Kamala Harris's 4-year tenure. No. There's a reason why he dropped out. There's a reason why he dropped out. And we know that reason is because Kamala Harris cannot win with Joe Biden. She can't. With that being said, we are now looking at what happens if Kamala Harris becomes president. Now, I have seen the betting odds. She has consistently been rising. However, her rise but Trump still has a 11-point lead, betting odds lead against her, which is actually very good. But my ultimate concern at the end of the night is what Kamala Harris's radical far-left agenda brings to the table. Guys, she wants to bring back Roe v. Wade. And is that possible? I don't think it is. But what she can do is stack the Supreme Court. Now, she's gonna need to have to get some sort of House majority and a Senate majority, which, thankfully, we will probably keep the Senate. That is, if John Tester gets elected. I mean, no, not John Tester. John Tester doesn't get reelected in Montana. Looks like he won't. But then again, I cannot put my trust in Tim Sheehy. Because Tim Sheehy is a CEO. He's not a politician. And we've seen how races and elections go when it's a very popular U.S. senator versus a CEO or someone with no experience to politics at all. Put it into a red state, I don't really think that matters that much. I really don't think. Maybe Montana's done with John Tester, but John Tester has lots of alliances in the state. We can't rely on Bernie Moreno to win against Sherrod Brown in Ohio, although it looks like right now Bernie Moreno has a pretty good chance. But what if he loses? I mean, Sheehy has an overwhelming better chance to win Montana than does Bernie Moreno. That's why I've encouraged Republicans to really, really focus on Governor Hogan, former Governor Hogan, and his race in Maryland, because he's going against a county executive. No one knows who she is. She popped out of the brew, and she became the Democrat nominee. No one knew who she was, and they're all supporting her now because she's a woman and she's a person of color. They're voting for her for identity politics-wise. But Maryland has voted for Governor Larry Hogan in a landslide in 2018. He got in by 4 points in an upset in 2014. Larry Hogan might just as well surprise us in Maryland up in the next few days, in the day after tomorrow. He might. But can also Brooks win? Absolutely. So, yeah, with Maryland going Democrat, if you put Maryland in the Democrat column, you got Ohio in the Democrat column, you got Montana in the Democrat column. In other words, things don't go well against things don't go well with Tester and Brown, they end up winning their elections, and also Brooks wins her election, then guess what happens? Then it's a tie in the Senate, and guess who gets to break the tie? Kamala Harris. So with the vice president being one tally, then that gives the Democrats the Senate majority. So that's why Republicans aren't leading 100% when it comes to winning the Senate. But the chances of winning the Senate are high. It is high. Republicans, there's an overwhelming chance that Republicans will escape at the end of the night with one seat. Either Maryland, Ohio, Montana are probably the more realistic states. Why am I saying Maryland? A lot of people say Maryland's over. Yes, I agree. Also, Brooks will probably win. It's hard to believe because she is a no-namer Democrat. But then again, it's Maryland. It's Maryland, a woke state that votes by the color of your skin. I mean, like, this is the Kamala Harris of Maryland. She's a county executive. She's from this county right here, the one in dark blue, obviously the most darkest because she's from that county, Prince George's County. No one in Maryland ever knew her name. Only the people in Prince George's County. But now, everyone knows her name. She's now the Democrat nominee, and she's facing down a juggernaut, a political juggernaut in a blue state. This guy right here. So that's why I'm doubts. Yeah, sure, look at this. Oh, look at the general election predictions. Solid blue. It's like likely Democrat, safe Democrat, solid Democrat, leading Democrat. Guys, I am not taking this for granted. No. Yeah, I realize this is what it also Brooks looks like she's going to win. Like, look at these poll numbers. But then again, as you could see here, yeah, before everyone knew who also Brooks was, Hogan was slamming her to the ground by 54% to 36% in an Opinions Works poll back in April by a margin of 3 percentage points in the margin of error. But yeah, this is what it's looking like. But then again, I don't put my trust in Maryland. That's why we really need to focus on like Bernie, on Jon Tester, and let's see how he's doing. Yeah, I mean Jon Tester. We hope he's going to lose. We need him to lose. Then again, a lot of Montanans like Tester. Tester's a moderate, and yeah, you see, this is what concerns me. It's starting to get a little close again. And then again, he is losing momentum. It used to be he was leading by 7. He's leading by 5.9 now. Okay, I mean, the two were tied at one point. So that honestly concerns me. So I am not really enthusiastic with Montana. I expect Jon Tester to win. But yeah, because this guy's a CEO. Tim Sheehy, CEO, and this guy's a very strong contender. Yeah, it was a close race, and I think it will be a close race at the end of the day. But yeah, this guy, of course, was a big deal in Montana since 2006. But yeah, and of course there's Ohio, which unfortunately Brown has continuously led in the state. Frustratingly, his lead has shrunk to 0.6, but who knows? I think Moreno, who is also not really a politician, he's not a politician at all. He's a businessman. I mean, I don't expect him to win, in my opinion. Like, this guy's a popular senator. He won by like 6 points. How are you going to expect Bernie Moreno to be? It's like, okay, things can go wrong really quickly. And if that actually happens, if we lose Montana, Ohio, Maryland, then Dems win the Senate. And with the Senate, I mean, she has a very, very 50-50 majority then. And I think stacking the court, it's a radical idea, and you just don't want to risk it. When you have someone who says, hey, I'm going to stack the Supreme Court. Imagine a Supreme Court, 29 Supreme Justices with the same ideology as Kamala Harris. Are you kidding me? 29 Kamala Harrises in the Supreme Court. Guys, the Supreme Court is fine. Why are you guys so upset about the Supreme Court? The Supreme Court gave the Democrats in Alabama a free seat in the House of Representatives. If the Supreme Court was racist, etc., they wouldn't be giving them this free seat, which I want to believe it's Alabama's 2nd Congressional District. Alabama's 2nd Congressional District went from a Republican stronghold to a Democrat stronghold. Not only that, but the Supreme Court gave the Democrats a seat in Louisiana. This seat right here. Aim to go Democrat at the end of the night. I'm like, seriously. Talk about ungrateful. And they're so mad that the Supreme Court overturned what they called their right to an abortion. Here's the thing, guys. It's not about women's rights. It's about religious rights, too. Because you cannot go and force American taxpayers. You cannot legitimately go and force American taxpayers to pay for abortions when they are religiously against it. Because in America, we have such thing as religious rights and freedoms. Catholics, morally, cannot fund abortions. If they do, they get excommunicated by the bishop. But unfortunately, they do anyway. We're forced to. I am forced to pay tax dollars in a state where you're allowed to get an abortion at 9 months. 9 months pregnant, you can get your abortion. By that time, the baby's already moving. The baby's smiling. The baby's kicking. Its limbs are basic. You can see its limbs. You can see its face. The face is fully formed. You can't legitimately call that a fetus anymore. It's clearly a baby. It looks like a baby as it was out of the womb. Like in your arms, it looks like a baby. And you're saying we can kill it. That's too far. That is too far. And Catholics like myself would get in huge trouble if we dare supported that in some way. But unfortunately, our bishops in Minnesota, they understand that we have no choice but to pay for these abortions. Because we have the Minnesota state government having a pistol to our necks, saying pay for the abortions or else. They strip us from our religious liberty. Dobbs v. Jackson gave religious people of religion the right to leave abortion states like Minnesota and California. If this issue is so important, then leave the pro-abortion state. Now, then again, some people like myself cannot afford to leave. Then again, I can't just pack up and leave one day. But then again, I would love to leave Minnesota. I love Minnesota, but if it's going to continue to be like this, then I'm out. I love Iowa. I fawn over Iowa. Iowa's an amazing state. It is, I would say, a state where abortion will likely be legal, but this state does not throw restrictions. Like they have restrictions. And I'm sorry, we need restrictions, because no restrictions on abortion results to killing at any stage of an abortion. So no, I do not support bringing back Roe v. Wade. It's not going to happen. First off, you need the judges. You don't have the judges. What are you going to do? Assassinate each Supreme Court justice? And I say that so boldly. Why would I say such a thing out loud? Well, think about it. They tried to kill our president 2 times. Once they get him out, the Supreme Court is next. And think about it. If a Supreme Court member dies, then who gets the reward for that? Democrats get rewarded if they have the White House. Kamala Harris would supplement and replace that Supreme Court justice with a radical far-left Marxist. So that's at stake, obviously. And not to mention the chances, sure, Democrats have a higher chance in winning the House than they do winning the presidency. Okay? I'm already trying to start my prediction map. So there's no average to show, unfortunately. But, yeah, if it comes to winning the House of Representatives, Democrats have a better chance of winning this. But what if Democrats do win the House of Representatives? Okay, then Democrats, the House Democrats, and the White House, we're just doing a scenario if Kamala Harris was president, they get a lot of stuff done when it comes to these radical far-left policies in, of course, when it comes to this evil stacking the Supreme Court plan that they want to put into motion. But, here's another but. What about, in this case, what about the Senate? Because the Senate will have to sign the bill into law. Right? That's why we need to win it. Because, sure, that House of Representatives might bring the bill, and it goes to the White House desk, and then it goes to the Senate, and we just destroy it. We rip it up, and we throw it out. But what if we don't win the Senate? And chances are we will. But what if things do not go as well as planned? Then Democrats, we will probably end up with a multi-justice court. Tons of Kamala Harrises running the country, running the court. And I guarantee you, it's not about abortion they're going to bring it back. It's going to be about woke ideology. Women and men, they will, and I'm going to use the word segregate. They're going to desegregate bathrooms. And that's the word that they like to use, meaning that men and women will be allowed to go in the same bathrooms. And that's just going to make the rape and incest even worse. These idiots claim they stand for women, and they want men to go into women's bathrooms and women to go into men's bathrooms. That's dumb. That's stupid. It's like the gun thing. They blame the gun for the shooting. They think that guns take over people's minds. No, it's mental illness. It's mental illness and crime. And Democrats don't want to fix crime. They don't want to fix it. Because it's too hard. And not to mention, if they fix crime, they go on hard crime, they're taking away black votes. But the thing is, they're so dense. That's what African Americans want. To be hard on crime. Because of crime, a lot of African Americans are impacted because of crime. Sure, they point out that a lot of African Americans have lived a criminal life. But that doesn't mean, but there's a lot of African Americans that are victims of crime, meaning that there are crimes committed against them. They are unsafe because of the crime-ridden areas and cities. Democrats don't want to take care of it because they want those criminals' votes. So, it was nice to touch base when it comes to that. So yes, not only will we have desegregated bathrooms, which we need segregated bathrooms, guys. That's just normal. It has to be that way. Because Democrats, they cry victimhood when it comes to rape and incest. Have you ever thought about trying to prevent rape and incest? And I'm not trying to mock people that have been raped. Absolutely. They are truly victims. They are victims. And they have every right to be talking about it. They have every right to cry about it. It is horrible. It ruins your rape is like being raped leaves you with trauma and PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. And in some cases, they can leave you with being suicidal. You could become suicidal and have some sort of mental illness. You become a changed person, and in the most negative way. So absolutely, I am not saying in any way. But when Democrats go and make their pro-woman argument and use rape and incest as an example, that doesn't work because you don't want to fix rape and incest. Fixing rape and incest is saying, hey, transgender men cannot go into men's bathrooms. Transgender women can't go into women's bathrooms. Because you could go and say, I'm a woman. You go and wear women's clothing and you expect us to let you in? Guys, what percent of people are just predators? Predators, realizing that all I gotta do is dress up like a woman and cry victimhood. If they stop me and I'll go in, all it takes is someone to dress up as a woman and people completely fool them. Or just claim you're trans. Claim that you're a woman. You identify as a woman, so do in the bathroom. But that's why we need to stop that, because women's lives are in danger. Because we have sick idiots like these who aren't actually transgender. They are predators trying to pretend to be women, going into women's bathrooms. And that's why we have so many rapes. That's why we have so much incest in this country. And Kamala Harris will make the problem worse. Not only that, but I predict that there will be the legalization of nudity. Why would I say something such as that? You're probably laughing. Are you serious? Well, I'm serious 100%. I'm serious. Guys, how did we get here? How did we get here? How did we get so cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs? It used to be we were very hesitant to allow a man and a man to marry. But ever since Oxford v. Hodges, I want to believe, that Supreme Court case in 2015 that legalized same-sex marriage across America federally, it just went downhill too quickly. Next thing you know, we're switching our genders. We're allowing our kids to be mutilated. We are having permanent child sex slavery. I mean, and that's what it is, sex slavery, absolutely. You're being enslaved by this sexual orientation, the secular sexualism. But what I was trying to say is these kids, they don't know what they're doing. They're kids. And they're making decisions about their bodies and about if they want to be a girl or not, and if they want to switch their genitals around. Once you switch your genitals, then guess what? You can't switch it back. It's permanent. And when you grow up and say, ouch, that was a stupid idea, too late. We're supposed to we can't, and look, parents that say, hey, son, you are what God made you to be. We call out those parents, and we call them out as abusive. That's what Kamala Harris's U.S. government will do. She will demonize those parents as abusive. She'll go after those parents that talk common sense to kids about expressing a different identity than what they actually are. And I believe it, guys. If we are right now to the point where boys are becoming girls and girls are becoming boys, and they are cutting off their genitals, damaging and hurting themselves, giving themselves sex surgery or genital surgery. It's just 10 years, and all it can take is a woke Supreme Court, a Kamala Harris-like Supreme Court, and there you go. You have people running around nude. And I am serious. That day will come. Because the argument is very plain out simple. The woke is saying, it's my body. I can do whatever I want with my body. I mean, I can get an abortion with my body. I can change my genitals if I want to. It's my body. And then it's going to become to the point where, why should I wear clothes? It's my body. I shouldn't have to wear clothes. That's oppression. The leftism will go too extreme, where we are actually thinking that clothing and covering ourselves up, being human, is actually called oppression. And it will be a revolution against society. It's going to be disgusting. Absolutely. And it will be an attack on our kids and our families. This is what a Kamala Harris presidency, and this can go on, doesn't have to go on only for 4 years. It will go on forever, because how do we get where we are now? Barack Hussein Obama? No other than this guy right here, Barack Obama. He implicated the radicalization of abortion and same-sex marriage, along with this gun control rhetoric. The country's more far left than ever thanks to him. So obviously, a lot is at stake. And none of this is a joke. This is what will happen, probably happen under Kamala Harris. Free speech? Censorship? Wars? Because you really think that Putin is going to actually respect Kamala Harris? Kamala Harris couldn't handle herself with Brett Barr. If Kamala Harris cannot handle herself with Brett Barr, there's no way she can handle herself with Putin, who's actually going to be much more difficult. Brett Barr paused the interview and gave Madam Vice President what she wanted. That was to finish her sentence while she was clearly trying to stop Brett Barr from adding more context into the question to make it more harder. To not even make it more harder, to add more, to give what, actually get an answer what Americans want to hear. She can't even handle an interviewer. How can she handle Putin? How can she handle Xi? How can she handle Kim Jong-un, who has nukes? How can she handle Iran, who, and with their proxies attacking Israel, they'll do it again? That Ukraine war is not going to end. Are you kidding? Not with her. No way. No way. Biden has a better chance of ending that war than her. Because we saw what Kamala Harris is like under pressure. We saw what Kamala Harris is like with people that have different opinions with her and that actually challenge her. She is snobby, she is snarky, and she is arrogant. Yeah, I get Trump has an attitude too, but that's his personality. But in the end of the day, compromises are met. Kamala Harris can't even handle an interviewer. Like, Americans, this is a serious election. And those of you who have not voted early, I respect your decision. If you did not vote early, I respect your decision, but you guys have to vote regardless. If you haven't voted, vote. Vote. Because this is the last time. This is the last time, guys. If we lose this election, I cannot say we're not going to win another election ever again, because I know I'll be taking that back someday in the future. But boy, the country will just be more and more far left. Where, in measures, it may seem that we may never win an election ever again. We just may never. Thankfully, we have good people that have seen this. People that are waking up. The Muslim and Somali communities in Minnesota and Michigan have come out in droves to support Trump. We are honored to have their support. We have Jewish communities. You want to know what's going on with the Catholics? The Catholics usually stay silent. The Catholics don't talk politics. But this election cycle, they're talking politics. They're panicking. And I'm not saying cope, like thinking she's going to win. They're panicking because she could win. Not she will win. And they're trying to get those Catholics out and voting. And that's smart. They're saying, hey, Kamala Harris, this is where I get all this stuff from. The Catholics. Because the Catholics have a prophecy called the end times. And they're actually saying we're in the end times right now. And I believe it. They believe that when you know you're in the end times, there is multiple different signs. I'm not going to go over that. It's not about Catholicism. It's about the state of the election. But I'm just trying to prove a point. The Catholics believe that there will be multiple different events. It ranges from the Second World War. They said that Mary will appear to Fatima. And if you ever heard about the Our Lady of Fatima story, this is an implicator. But this is what basically puts into place. They believe they predicted the fall of communism, and now they're saying the last prediction is going to be a war against families. Are we not in a war against families? And I'm not saying Catholicism's the true religion. Oh, you're trying to gaslight that your religion's the true religion. No. I'm not arguing at all that. I'm just saying this is what the Catholic perspective is. And they're taking this seriously. Because they're saying if Kamala Harris wins, we're in the end. There's no doubt about it. We're in the end times. The end of the world could be in years. Well, not just years, but just less than a couple decades. Like, this is the end times. They are going to go go from the rise of the Antichrist and all that stuff. The Catholics are panicking. And that's why they're saying, we got to stop this. We got to go out and vote. Vote, vote, vote. And I wish they had the courage to say, go out and vote for Trump. But the thing is, the Catholics... And here's the thing when I clash with my fellow Catholic communities. I just, they are, then again, have an obligation to be welcome. To welcome and help the poor. And they're taking this migrant situation as, they're allowed to stay here. No, they're not. A lot of these people broke the law. They need to be deported. And what I'm trying to say, hey, you know what? These people are breaking the law. They're not breaking the law. They're breaking God's law. They are committing the sin of disobedience. You think of that that way. Because we're so emotional. We got to help these people, help the poor. Yeah, you can give them money. You can give them food, feed them. But in the end of the day, they have to go back home. They have to go back home because they broke the law. And when you support that, you're supporting the sin of someone's sin of disobedience. I think that's wrong. And I just wish the Catholics could have a different narrative on that. But it seems that more of the abortion fears about bringing back Roe v. Wade is really getting Catholics out and voting. And the just Kamala Harris, who has a record of hateful rhetoric against Catholics. She is probably the most anti-Catholic president, the most Catholic, anti-Catholic politician, really, in the country. And they're coming out in droves to vote against her. I have hope. I absolutely do. I know this video is going to be long. This is our final words of Edgewise as we go into the Lion's Den on the 5th. So I think we got the main points down. Before I end this video, we're going to talk about the election results. What happens if Kamala Harris wins? Are we going to whine, cry about it? No. It's okay to cry. It's okay to cry. Are we going to rage? Are we going to kick? Are we going to scream? Are we going to go out and riot? No, we're not. No, we're not. Because we don't want to load up more bullets for the left to throw at us. So I'm sorry, I will condone every single violence that if some Republican goes out and commits a shooting or some sort of violence, I will condemn it. Because that is not what we stand for. Even though a Kamala Harris win would be an atrocity, we would condone all of that. All of that violence against Kamala Harris. If her life is being threatened because of her win, we will condemn the action made against her. Our channel will recognize the election results between whoever reaches 270. We will say is the winner. Because ideally, we can't overturn the election. Neither can Kamala Harris. Guys, we don't have laws that basically ensures a peaceful and democratic election. Make sure elections are fair. Republicans are trying, but unfortunately, the Republicans were not so successful of passing measures and laws for a voting integrity in the House of Representatives. Like federal laws. Because why? We have the Democrats still throwing people in jail for denying election results. They're going after Republicans for not recognizing the 2020 election results. I was one of those people. I was a part of the Stop and Steal movement back in 2020. But I was I was only into politics for 2 years. But after going through the Biden era, I learned, you know what? There's no way we would have overturned that election. No way. Because the damage was already done. Biden crossed 270. It's over. The reason why Bush won in 2000 was Gordon crossed 270. He was close. He was at 260, but he never reached 270 electoral votes. Bush did first, and that happened one time, and that was it. Never once in American history have we actually denied someone a legitimate victory, where we were successful at denying someone their victory, where they reached over the maximum electoral votes needed to win the election. That never happened before. So how are we supposed to expect that this would happen this time around, wherein we actually have 0 watts, where we can actually say that that's okay? So in my ground, there's a 6% chance in overturning that result if Kamala Harris were to be elected. I have a strategy going forward if that does happen. We will just say, okay, the American people wanted Kamala Harris. We're going to sit back and we're going to watch and see what happens in 2025 and see if they approve. And then I will be saying, hey, you know what? I don't want to hear it from you guys because you voted for her after 4 years of turmoil, you decide to vote for Kamala Harris because you didn't like Orange Man. And now you're whining and complaining that we're in some war or something. Too bad. That's your fault. I don't want to hear it from you. And that's how we should treat the situation. You know, that's what you have to do sometimes. That's what you have to do. Like, for example, when your kid turns 18, he's legally an adult. You gotta let it go. And right away, you notice your kid is getting into bad habits. He's starting to drinking and getting drunk every night, every day. And then one time, your kid is arrested for drunk driving, DUI. You feel horrible. But you realize that there was nothing you could do. You can't take the bottle of beer or wine or any sort of alcoholic beverage from him. You can't do that because that's not your place anymore. You can say, hey, no drinking in my house because it's your house. It's not his house anymore. And he ought to leave his house or leave your house or find another place to drink. But you can, as an adult also, you have the right to say, you can't drink here in my property because ideally, as an adult, you are not committed to stay at your parents' home. You could leave. I can leave. I can leave Minnesota if I want to. I'm an adult. I can legally leave Minnesota. And it won't be my parents' fault. They can legally kick me out of the house. They can throw me out. They will never do it, though. They'll never do it. No, I don't think any parent would. But they could, as an adult, they could legally drop me off at the side of the road and drive off, and they won't go to jail because I'm an adult. I'm an adult. This is how we must treat our country. We recognize that our country, the American people, have the power to decide the outcome of the election. And although we realize, okay, it's turning into this bad direction, you want to intervene and say, hey, no, we cannot have Kamala Harris, be president. But what good does that do? Like taking away the bottle of beer away from your kid, that only makes the situation even worse. You just have to let your kid fall sometimes. You have to let your son fall. Or daughter. It doesn't have to be a son. But you have to let your kid fall. And get back up. And unfortunately, it's going to be hard. But if that said scenario happens in the next few days, our plan and my agenda is we're just going to let them fall. We're going to let the American people fall, and it's up to them to get back up. Because they made a choice to elect an incompetent woman who is committed to destroy our democracy into power. And we can't necessarily intervene and say, no, you can't do this. Well, the American people reserve the right to vote. And the majority of votes come in for Harris and she wins the Electoral College, then guess what? We unfortunately cannot challenge that. But what we can do is we can let the American people fall. When they fall hard, they can get back up. And I'm praying more Americans end up making good decisions. And I'm praying we will end up winning. We probably will sweep the midterms, actually, because we don't have a stupid Roe v. Wade. That stupid they'll realize that Kamala Harris has yet to bring back Roe v. Wade. That was overturned 4 years ago. And they will realize that they've been gaslit. So if Kamala Harris wins, there's no doubt about it that will probably sweep the midterms, probably the biggest midterm victory since 2014. But I don't want to think about 2026. I don't want to think about 2026. I want to think about now, because I don't want Kamala Harris in. I don't. No one does. And that's why we have to pray. That's why we have to pray for the sake of the country. We have to stay united. And fight, fight, fight! Win, 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 just like President Trump says. Wrapping this up, I just want to, regardless of the election results, my agenda and plan will be simple. We will be going through every single election in the said general election cycle this year. That means 4 videos a day for 4 months will be uploaded. There will be a barrage of videos released on my channel. Many I don't expect would get many views. I don't expect you all to click and watch videos like this, 4 videos like this a day. No. We'll be basically going through the election results. We'll go through presidential election results by state. We'll go by down ballot races. And then we'll hit the ballot measures. This will result, in general, it's going to be about almost 200 videos will be released in the next couple months. And this will go on till, I would predict, February. Because if you think about it, we got to get through presidential election results per state. We got to get through Senate, governor, and down ballot office races by state. And then finally we hit ballot measures by state. So that's going to take a couple months. I plan to upload 4 times a day to make it faster. Because ideally, I don't want that news to become dead. But seeing it's a presidential election year, I think I can make an exception. Even though it's been a long time. But yes, I'm committed to get each of those races out. But I cannot have the energy to do it. I will do it, but I can't. But I need momentum and motivation. And what's motivating and gives me some energy is a Trump win on the 5th, on Tuesday. We need to get it done. So let's fight and let's win this for our democracy. Anyway, I want to thank you all for watching this video. I'll see you all in the next political episode.